that one for a bit. Had some key penalty kills, which we've been talking about the penalty kill lately, but that seemed to really, all of a sudden, you guys finally started to turn it at some point in that game. Well, what did turn it around?
Well, Anderson was great for us early and allowed us to get to the game that needed to be played. And I say the game that needed to be played versus get to our game. Because I thought LA did a great job, as Pittsburgh did the last two games that we needed to learn from and adjust to. Is you have teams that, in my opinion, watching and seeing what's happened the last three games, if you had teams that have been very focused on making sure they don't give us much, defending very hard against us. And when that happens, you can't try to make a pretty play and a fancy play. You've got to have a little grind and put pucks behind and put pucks to the net to get second chances rather than create a glorious first chance and score on a first chance. And it took us a while to get to that, but I felt Andy, did what he needed to allow us to get to that point. We had to accept the terms that the game was going to be played on, and you see what happens once we could get up by. That second goal I thought was big for us because it forced our opposition out of that defending mode, and the game could open up to where we could play more of our game.
Craig mentioned that in the post-game presser, and he was impressed with the poise the team showed in not getting frustrated when managing only 3 shots in the first period. Is that something maybe this team has learned from?
It's a progress, and Andy was great even on timeouts, coming over and talking to the forwards and talking to the D. I don't know what shot attempts were in the first. We missed the net a few times, but it was easy. There was enough evidence in the first period to show guys on film that the tweaks we needed to make, in the sense of we were trying to score pretty, so we were hanging on to pucks even when we had possessions. We're trying to pass it all the way to the net. We obviously changed that. I think shot attempts were even very close to even after 2 periods, and then we were able to push the right way. But yeah, it's a good thing to go through. Obviously, a better thing to go through and win. But I do believe the frustration of the 2 prior games of playing behind. I can think of Friday night in here in Pittsburgh. We had a couple of posts, I think, early, and we could have been maybe deserved to be up by a couple, but we weren't. And so Pittsburgh never had to come out of their game plan. And it was the same in Pittsburgh. And tonight it didn't happen. We didn't force that team out of it until later. And I know our guys felt much better at that point.
When you're facing a team that's defending like that, how important are specifically Girgensons and Okposo in terms of just setting an example of the way that you do have to play?
That line was really good, and Krebs did a very nice job. Add him in that mix. He's been shifted there. And then the other one was the second goal. Look at how the second goal was scored. The first goal was obviously a 5-on-3 power play. We know our power play's been very effective. But the second goal was a chip in, simple, puck behind the opponent's net right away. Asplund jumps it, change sides behind the net, and Victor Olofsson's open. And so we push depth. We change sides, which causes coverage change. We find a pocket, and that was a very, very big goal in how it happened. That was something we weren't willing to do enough earlier on, and then obviously that opened up the game. When you have a team that ends up down by 2, they have to open it up. And fortunately that didn't happen at the start for us. I think our guys would have felt much better about their game. But again, we learned that we need to play the game that needs to be played sometimes, instead of just trying to do what we want to do.
Facing up against a team that's had struggles with the PK and the way the kicks out, when you start getting those power play opportunities, is it just kind of like, all right, we can settle into this?
Our power play's been very confident. I think we had a crossbar early, even before we scored. I think Victor Olofsson hit a crossbar, and that's our second unit who they do a really good job of staying prepared and ready. They don't get a lot of time. But they're very confident and pretty decisive, and sometimes they lead by example by being more decisive. They only have 30 seconds, and there's some urgency to it. And so I think those 2 units actually work well together, push each other pretty well. But those groups have been very confident. So it was, Zemgus had, I think Girgensson drew 3 penalties so when you have a team that's physical and almost a clutch and grab style, but they're just physical and hard. They're very good at defending, and they defend hard. The hope is you can draw penalties by moving your feet, and we didn't do that early, and we started to do that more, and you saw more penalties called. Make them take you down. Don't comply and get hit and pinned. And Gergensen led the way. He was key to the power play success.
Coach, Asplin's most active game maybe in a while is what he created. He got some of those plays, like you said.
He was good. Asplin was very good, very consistent. And there was lots of spans in between his shifts where he didn't get a lot of ice time, but every time he hopped over that, he had a very, again, the two lines of Krebs' line and Joe's line, I thought they led us with a deeper sense of objective of how we needed to play this game. And Aspie was a big part of that. Yes.
I was sort of asked that line, but I guess I'll just ask, go-ahead jerseys. 3 times you've worn them, 3-0, 6 goals each game. And ask if you just wear them every game.
I think we should wear them every game based on those numbers. Yeah. The crowd was great too. They weren't too happy with our first period, but they rallied, and I think our guys felt that through the game. And I think even at the start of the game, the people seem to be excited about those things. I know the players are.
Coach, Tage Thompson having a Michael Jordan-esque type of season on the ice. Talk about what that does for your team as one of the leaders on this team. What does that do for your team?
It does a lot. You have a guy that obviously he's scoring. Everybody wondered if he would score as much as last season, and obviously we don't have to wonder that anymore. He's ready to score at any moment. His teammates know that, so they know and work hard to get him the puck. I think Tuck and Middlestead tonight did a nice job, and so it's obviously it's nice to have a guy that's we have lots of guys. It's not just Tomer, obviously. There's lots of guys working to make his skill set more of an impact in each game. And I think as much as Tage has grown, the players around him have grown to complement him through this process. So he had a lot of goals last year. He's scoring again this year, and I really believe it's the chemistry that's developing around him.
Now, what was Craig Anderson's message to the forwards in that early TV timeout when he came over to talk?
Craig is always really calm and really settling. So he just, as we all do, you don't want your team rattled. You just want to make sure you're taking care of business. You might not feel good, but just get through this. Stick to, it doesn't have to be pretty. Keep things simple. Be hard on pucks. Make sure you're supporting. Just simple messages, real. But again, and he has a presence. So when he comes to the bench on a timeout, the guys are glued on him. And it's always very logical. You can tell he speaks with lots of experience, and it's on point.
Can you talk about the Quinn Paterka Rochester connection and the development that you've seen?
Yeah, that goal is something that you can hit replay on a few times. The goal they set up. Cousins had 3 more assists tonight. I know he's I don't know how many were on the power play. They might all been on the power play, but that line was still again dangerous at any moment. Those 3 together, at any moment, they're dangerous because they see and read plays defensively so well, and they read plays in tandem almost. So when they pick a puck off, there's 3 guys coming at you, and they obviously have the skill, and the chemistry is developing. We see it day by day in practice. So that goal tonight was as nice a goal as we've seen all year, and it shows a lot of talent and a lot of chemistry.